Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 88B.
Which will be 89 in all those distribution channels.
Yeah. Oops.
Oops.
So this is a continuation, obviously, of the 88A episode. That's usually how it works.
Yes.
And what we're going to do here is just wrap up the lore section from our previous premature show. Premature
with 100%
evaluation.
less sugar.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, that was, I don't normally get like that, but I was kind of feeling out of it too. I was sort of.
That was an absurd amount of sugar that we had.
It really was. Ice cream and a quarter of a cake.
Yeah.
It's excessive. But it was a birthday. It was a party.
Yeah, you were doing everything to make sure it was your last one too. Good Lord.
Give me some COVID with the diabetes, please.
Right? Bill's going to be rolling into 60 with one less leg.
Well, you know what's funny was that night when I was trying to, take my insulin shot, it actually wouldn't go in. Jesus. I'm kidding.
Your body just rejected it. It's too little, too late.
Don't try to correct it now, loser.
It's just time to ride the lightning.
All right, so real quick, there's nothing new to announce. Nothing in the new dawn. But in the creation segment, you and I have both accomplished things in the intervening week.
Yeah, what do you know about that?
So hook it up, brother. Tell me all about it.
So I actually busted out the old paintbrush.
You did indeed.
And I started painting some orc boys. And I guess we'll put up some pictures of those.
Yes, we will.
They're slightly different. I used 100% contrast.
Yes.
Other than on the base. The base has a technical, and then the rim is painted with a base paint. But the model itself is completely 100% contrast. And I got to say, I like it.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I am actually, I don't want to say speechless, but I haven't mucked around that much with contrast paints like you have. And they look freaking great. I would not in any way, shape, or form be upset with having those on the table and calling them my own.
Yeah, especially 120 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. How long would you say it took each one?
About a week. No.
Okay, I don't think that hits.
I would say, and keep in mind, I am a painfully slow painter. I would say I could do one of these in probably an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Really? That long?
Yeah.
I bet once you get in the swing of it, it'll go a lot quicker. And when you start batch painting.
Well, and once I get used to painting with contrast, it really is a difficult paint to use properly because I kept catching myself. I would put it, I would put the brush on the model, and brush the paint on. And then immediately want to just keep going back over that spot and drag paint around like you would with normal base paint or layer paint or something like that. And you can't do that with this. So it actually, you put the paint on and just move on to another spot.
Yeah.
And keep going, which actually requires a fair amount of brush control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not quite as slather it on as they make it sound. Once you get used to that, it can make things much faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
it's just getting used to essentially a different paint style, which sounds weird, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a technique like anything else. Contrast paints have a technique all their own, and even within the range, there's different sort of, I don't know what you want to call, levels of paint, and that require different levels of. I mean, some of the lighter paints are very, very thin. They're a lot more like a wash, but some of the darker ones are very heavy body. And you have to kind of get used to each one, so you're not going to use the same application method for every paint across the range.
Sure.
And that's where it gets kind of rough, because like the black, oh boy, my first few tests with the black were painful.
Yeah,
So,
it's a very pigment heavy paint.
yeah.
There's a video that Duncan put out on his channel now, the Duncan Rhodes Painting
Yeah.
Academy,
Yep.
where he does, it's like 12, 15 minutes or whatever, just talking about contrast paints. And he does a couple different techniques with them. And I think that show alone really highlights how great it is that Duncan has his own channel now.
Yes.
Because he was able to be critical
Yeah.
of the product while also giving it praise,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really valuable. Whereas if GW did a video like that, it would be your standard, here's a guy that's got years and years and years of practice just slapping it on like they kind of already do in some of their stuff. And it's like, see how easy this is? This is what this paint does for you. And it's like, no, it really doesn't work that way. It will eventually when you get used to it, but that's not what it is. And Duncan's video talks about some of the shortfalls of kind of what contrast was promised as, but then he talks about it really is a phenomenal paint, and I'm going to show you what it can do, the effects that it can have if you do different things.
Right.
And yeah, I would strongly suggest watching that video if you have any interest in using contrast paints. And you really should, because they're not just a paint that is like 3 steps in one.
Yeah.
So that I can get something to the tabletop. There's so many cool things like shading that you can do and glazing and whatnot. And that video kind of highlights on some of that and the effects that you can get, which are really, really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go back to the fact those things are gorgeous, and they definitely fit the bill for any painting requirement I've ever heard of. So, no one could sit there and say, no, not good enough, because that was great.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah, we'll get some pictures up here shortly.
Yes, we will. We currently have about 10 or so of those catachans soaking in the alcohol.
No, those are Cadians.
Cadians, okay. Yeah, we got 10 Cadians soaking in alcohol right now. So if we fall down from, some sort of inhalation of chemicals.
Yep.
Because we mixed a few today. We've been using different things to try to strip the paint off of those things. God.
Actually, that's isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah.
And if anything, we should be injecting it to save ourselves.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll pour a couple shots and we'll just do it that way.
All right.
All right, cool.
See you on the other side, buddy.
Big time.
Is there Warhammer in heaven?
Yeah. And then the other little bit of hobby that I did was I finally finished an orc truck.
Nice.
Yeah, and the second one is almost done. I got like the last little bits I got to do, and my God, what a nightmare of a model. The model itself is super cool. Looks fantastic. Very orcish. The instructions can suck a fat one. Good God, those instructions are terrible. Because I was sitting there trying to put the crew in the driving seat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have that as the last step.
Oh, good. Where everything's all around it.
Yeah. No, don't do that. Abort mission. For the love of God, abort mission. And do that really early on. Get that taken care of pronto and build around those guys.
Oh, my Lord.
Good Lord, I had to like snap pieces back off.
Oh, my
I had to
God.
bend plastic. It was a nightmare.
Really?
Yeah, it
Wow.
was a nightmare. So, and it's just the instructions, man. They're really bad.
This is why orc players are a cut above, you know?
Well, no. Orc players that chop all that stuff apart and make it work,
Oh, yeah.
those guys are a cut above. Unimaginative chodes like me,
And me.
yeah, who just try to build it by the instructions and then sit there with drool falling off our bottom lip when it doesn't work and we don't understand why. No, we're not a cut above.
Yeah.
But those guys that can look at a Sprite can and a, a garden hose and be like, I'm going to make a stomp out of that.
Yeah.
Those dudes
Pretty
are
much those guys are.
something else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Yeah, so more orcs, and that's
Beautiful.
probably what will be in my future for the next 10 to 12 years. Just more orcs. More.
More
Yeah,
orcs.
it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
And you?
And me, well, I had a brief respite, so I was able to. Let me see. I built a set of stealth suits, I bought built 2 Cadre fire blades, and all the attendant drones that go with them. And I started building 20 Pathfinders. I had 2 boxes of Pathfinders.
Very nice.
And in order to make the loadout that I want, that's going to give me the most flexibility through either 4 or 5 man teams or 2 10-mans or what have you. I had to kind of plot out what to arm them with and get the numbers together. So right now I only have the 2 Shazui built and the recon drones and some of the other stuff. But yeah, I've got everything figured out and almost have everything out in egg cartons now, so I can just go into assembly line.
Nice.
For the rest of the Pathfinders. And I know Pathfinders are not good, but I don't play to win.
Yeah, no, we're not.
We're just going to have some fun.
Yep.
And when Pathfinders come with marker lights for free, yeah. Well, you pay for them, but
Not the way we play.
That's true. So, yeah, that was what I did. I actually, we had a hobby chat last night because this is the weekend of RandyCon. So we had a mini online RandyCon last night. And that's what I was doing while we were doing all kinds of other things. Half the crew was playing Warhammer Underworlds online. Let me see. Scott Reed he was working on lesson plans for a lot of it.
Yeah.
He's got to start teaching again Monday.
Fun.
Yeah, online teaching. So the guy is a saint. Teachers, people are starting to realize, how valuable the teachers are, and maybe they should stop blaming the teachers.
Yeah, maybe start blaming all that administration that's sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah, that kind of thing, and getting paid.
Right.
But so everybody was doing their own thing, and that was our creation. So that was kind of cool, having our little mini RandyCon. So with the social distancing, yeah.
So good.
So, are we ready to move into lore?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Can I bring this one in?
If that's going to put a smile on your face, Bill, then no, you can't do it. So what we're going to talk about? No, just go ahead. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Anyway, so here's the deal. Our lore section, this shot out, we decided because you came up with the idea of let's watch some bat reps and figure out what's good and what's bad and where is the quality AOS bat reps. And I think we can agree that the bellwether that we are both using is the Tabletop Tactics 40K battle reports.
Yep.
I want to start out by making 2 very important points about what follows in the next however long it takes us.
Oh, boy, here we go.
One,
who's getting thrown into an airplane propeller?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
Nobody. I don't have a real rant this time. There's nobody I hate right now other than, the usual.
Right.
So, yeah, Ninth Agers and what have you. So,
we should have watched some Ninth Age battle reports.
Oh yeah, because
just to see, if maybe they really are. No,
I also might have wanted to put an ice pick in my eyes, but I'm not going to do that for my art either.
Fair enough.
So 2 things that are going to be very important are, number one, when we make comments about some of these different groups that do battle reports, we're not dogging anybody.
No.
We're not trying to point out their flaws, because anybody that takes the time to put out a battle report, complete with all the editing that goes into it and everything else, more power to you, and thank you for doing it, because they're fun to watch.
Sure.
And 90% of them are good to watch.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I think we can agree on this across the board, the big difference that we see with Tabletop Tactics versus everyone else is what those guys do is they get together to film a battle report. That is the goal. Mm-hmm. And they make the game, they make the scenario, they make the sides. Everything fits into the idea of making a video battle report. Whereas the other thing that most of these other ones seem to do is they film a game that they played and then comment on it and turn it into a battle report.
Yeah.
There's a couple of notable exceptions, but very rarely do you see, in the AOS side at least, someone departing from that. It's pretty much, here's a game we played, and here's what happened. And, you know, some of them film this aspect, some of them don't. But the big difference, the tabletop tactics guys are super professional about how they make the presentation of a battle. And it is, I don't want to say scripted, but it is designed to be watched by an audience.
Right. I'll say right off the bat, one thing that they do that none of these that I watched did, and you watched a few on your list that I didn't get around to, but so maybe you can correct me. But one of the big things that Tabletop Tactics does is usually there is a third person holding the camera, which allows the two players to play.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas all of these, one of the people playing is holding the camera.
Yeah.
And that actually changes the dynamic of the battle report itself quite a bit. You wouldn't think it, but it can quite a bit. So,
yeah, actually it does, because it's either their primary focus and it shows in the gameplay, or it's an afterthought and it shows in the video. Mm-hmm. So, and again, not meaning to dog anybody, because just the mere fact that you're doing it and you're putting that effort out there is far more than I'm doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, years ago, James and I did one.
Yeah.
Well, we did two.
Yeah.
And he only ever posted one. And it was because it took a lot of editing.
Yes.
A lot of editing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's no joke. I mean, you know what it's like to put this thing together. And this is just an audio medium.
Yeah.
So
I always go by that basic formula that I learned right when I started working on podcasts was, for a podcast, you can count on 3 times the number of recorded minutes, usable minutes, in editing time to make it sound good. So if you do a 2-hour show, set aside 6 hours to edit it.
Yeah. It's like college credit hours and homework.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like 3 times the amount of homework you're going to be doing.
What I know of the video content creators, that's actually more like 5 times, because video editing is inherently slower because of all the rendering that has to be done.
Yeah.
And you can't just, for me, when we say something dumb, I cut that part, put some fades in and join the two and say, I'm done. Yep. I fixed that. For video, unless you don't mind having all those incredibly distracting jump cuts, it's very hard to make it seamless. So I say more power to these guys that are doing it. Yeah, and thank you for doing it, because they're, by and large, we're going to say not many of them reach the level of Tabletop Tactics.
No. But
all of them are decent to watch, and you will find some that you love and you'll find some that you hate, just like us. But we're not going to give you that part, because that would be bad.
Right. So enough sugarcoating. Let's get this. Let's dig into this crap and how horrible this stuff is. Just kidding.
Just the absolute pile of crap out there.
Why can't these people put together anything good? All right, starting from the top. Oh, and Bill will have the link to all of these channels. All these are all on YouTube.
Yep.
And we'll put the link for each one of them so you can check them out.
You betcha.
Some of them put out quite a bit of content. Some of them it's a little more sporadic, but all in all, good stuff.
Yep.
So who do you want to talk about first?
And one other thing I want to mention about all these channels that we're going to talk about, almost all of them have other content besides battle reports.
Oh, yeah.
They have hobby stuff, or they have, unboxings and reviews, or just straight out discussions.
Yeah, rules discussions, Army book discussions, 40K battle reports, Middle Earth battle reports. Yep. I think one of them even had like Frostgrave and some stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, some of them were doing. In fact, some of the ones that I watched did meeting engagement for AOS, stuff like that. So
yeah, those are good. I like those. Mm-hmm. So. Got to start out with the elephant in the room, and that's the Games Workshop. The Twitch stream, which then becomes part of their video library, which if you're a subscriber, you can get to, or if you're anybody right now during COVID, you can get to because they made it free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The big thing with the GW Batreps is, I don't want to say the games are scripted, but they kind of are. They set the idea up beforehand. And, you know, sometimes they'll have like Steve Foote playing with another narrative person, or they'll have Mitzi and Jimbo go out there and play a game. So, I mean, I don't want to say it's scripted because they're out there to have fun and play a game, but it's preconceived. Almost all of their Batreps are between people that you've heard of. Yeah. You know, I mean, Russ Veal will go out there and play against Martin Morin, and you know you're going to get a pretty interesting game because those are some very quality players. And then you'll have the next week, you know, like I said, you'll have, you know, Steve Foote and another one of his buddies playing an incredibly made-up narrative game just for giggles, and they'll be changing the rules as the game goes by.
Yep.
So it kind of there's not a lot of cohesiveness.
Now, I'll admit, it's been a while since I've watched one of the Games Workshop ones.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still filmed in the main hall? So there's lots of background noise?
No, they've got their own studio now, and it's
really
quiet. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now, and this is, again, another issue that I always found was that the people narrating the game were always kind of disconnected as to what was happening, especially in the narrative-driven ones.
Not anymore.
They're all on the same page?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay,
yeah.
then I'll definitely have to watch some of that.
They've fixed that completely. And what makes it fun is like when you do have Steve Foote and, you know, I can't remember the last guy that he played, and they play a narrative game on there, you not only hear the commentators, but they'll just throw the mic across the room and go, Steve, what are you doing? And he'll just sit there and tell you, you know. So, yeah, they've got the system down now.
Good. Awesome.
And one of the cool things about GW is they have fantastic overlays for at any time you can look at the screen. If you're in the middle of painting, you can just look up and see where the victory points are, see what turn it is, see who's playing, what side they're, you know, what factions they're playing. Very, very nice overlays, which is something almost nobody else does.
Right.
So that's GW in a nutshell. Very, very good. Very high quality, but there's a lack of continuity. It's not, you know, it's always going to be competitive or always narrative. You never know what you're going to get.
Fair enough.
And it might be 1 week, it might be Aeronautica Imperialis. And then the next week it's 40K. And then it's, you know, back to AOS. So, you want to do the next one?
So the next one is mini wargaming.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this one's kind of controversial, I think, because, well, so they put together a pretty good product, I believe. As far as quality, video quality, audio quality, they generally have some very nice armies that they play with. That's another thing about the GW one is you get some of the most fantastic armies and terrain and all of that.
Well, you know, if somebody comes to Games Workshop and they don't have an army, they grab one out of the heavy metal shelves.
Sure.
So yeah, you're getting top quality armies.
Yeah. And mini wargaming is very similar. They have some pretty phenomenal looking armies.
Yes, they do.
And it's, again, this is one that I used to watch them consistently, and then I stopped because they have a tendency to not get the rules right.
Exactly.
I'm trying to be diplomatic about it. Mm-hmm. They can stumble on the rules pretty hard, and it's kind of their attitude towards the game. Age of Sigmar.
Yeah,
they're as a whole generally not excited to play the game, and it comes through in the battle reports. Now, when they do 40K and they do some of the other stuff, they're pretty excited to play those games.
When they have series of games on there like the Banter Batreps, which are a product all their own. It's a different take, but yeah, their AOS battle reports are hit or miss as to you'll get two great players who are really into it and they'll nail it and have a great time, or you'll get two guys that are going through the motions and it shows. Yeah.
One of the cool things, though, about them is, I don't know, again, if they still do this. I don't know why they wouldn't, but the people who go to their bunker to play, they'll actually do video bat reps sometimes with those people if you schedule it and talk to them and things. And I think that's really cool.
Oh, yeah. So, and now that they have the bunker up there, you can actually stay there. They've got like
Oh,
6 rooms that you can rent.
Actual hotel rooms.
So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
So,
Next up is Gorilla Miniature Gaming.
yeah.
Now, this is Ash, and Ash is a former mini wargaming guy who just kind of wanted to go off, do his own thing. And the thing with Ash, and it's not a bad thing, he likes all kinds of different games. So he doesn't really concentrate on any particular system because he really likes them all, and he tries to play them all. So his Batreps are basically a shorter format, but very high-quality stuff. They usually have a great narrative reason for playing the game. Even though it's a competitive game, they have a reason why they're fighting, which kind of, it lends a little credence to the whole thing. And one nice part about the GMG, the Gorilla Miniature Gaming Batreps, is they skip a lot of the drudgery stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see a 30-minute movement phase where you measure out each.
Yeah, and hemming and hawing about what spells are going to use and command abilities. And
yeah, so they get rid of that. And, again, a big plus on that site, GMG, is they've got a ton of different content. Anything that you might like is probably on there.
I think this is the one that I said that I think I saw, like Frostgrave and even some games that I'd never heard of.
Oh yeah,
so
he does off the wall games and one hit company that does just one little thing. He'll feature their products and stuff. So yeah, Ash is he's a benefit to the whole hobby. I gotta say.
Now this is one of those that. He's holding the camera as he plays.
Yes.
So you just kind of get like one angle of the whole game. So that can be it can be a little more difficult to get immersed into what's going on, I think. But, overall, they still use pretty solid looking armies.
Oh, yeah.
On there that I saw. So
yeah, and quality tables, very gorgeous terrain.
Yeah.
So, and super high production value, too. Ash is no slouch in the editing department.
Next up is Sword and Steel.
A newcomer to and they have basically hit, well, I want to say it's mostly Naomi, but they've really hit the scene in a big way with a lot of content, which is cool.
Yeah. They don't have a terribly large library.
No.
But they do have some nice ones.
What they have is beautifully painted. They have like Sylvaneth Stormcast. And
that Sylvaneth army is gorgeous.
Yeah. Stormcast is really nice. The Nighthaunt are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the nice part about their Batreps is you'll watch the Batrep and you'll be able to flip back a few videos and see Naomi painting that army that was on there.
Yeah.
And going through all how she does it and, what her thoughts on it are. So.
And they are very much there to just have fun.
Oh,
I don't think there's a shred of competition there at all.
No. And that's probably one of the reasons why they're so popular is they are so enthusiastic about just being there to play the game, have some fun, throw some dice. And they're not usually playing 2,000-point games. They're usually playing like 1,000-point games. And so they're wrapping up pretty quick. And it's a lot of fun to watch. I like them. So.
Yeah, I did find the video cut to be a little
abrupt.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's just like in the middle of a sentence, it kind of does the blurry camera switch, but you didn't skip anything.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, well, it can I think it can be a little distracting.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's.
Yep. They're very good. They're good Batreps. And they do they don't have an overlay, but they usually have like some kind of tracker to show you what turn it is. Like when they switch turns, they'll cover what turn it is and where the victory points are. So
yeah, they do that on the previous one, Gorilla Gaming too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ash does that same. Yeah, he'll have a little cutscene there where it's here's the turn, here's who's what, and here's the victory points. So okay, so unbeknownst to you, we took a quick break to strip some models.
Yeah.
And actually, the 91% alcohol worked where everything else failed.
That's That's the real deal.
It's the real deal.
Unfortunately, it is rarer than unicorn farts right now.
Boy,
in stores.
I know. God, it's crazy. You can't touch this stuff.
Nope. I can find toilet paper easier than I can find isopropyl alcohol.
Well, one thing I will say is nice is toilet paper seems to have stopped being a thing.
Yeah.
But now we're up to one of the heavy hitters in the AOS Batrep field, and that's re-rolling ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are fun to watch. They really put on a good show, a game. Now, they don't have overlays or anything like that, so it can get a little difficult to keep track of where you're at in the game. But they know how to edit it, and they know how to present it. And honestly, I would say that of all of them, I have to give the nod to Rerolling Ones as probably the best of the bunch.
Really?
For my taste. Now, what that means to you is absolutely nothing, because you're going to see bat reps that you like, and you might not like the way Rerolling Ones does this.
Sure, yeah.
They try to wrap up a game in between an hour to 2 hours, a 2,000-point game, always competitive games, and usually played well. And if they get something wrong and they realize it right then and there, they will go back and fix it and say, hey, here's what we did. Here's why it was wrong. And we looked it up and we figured it out, and we just backed it up a little bit and said, hey, let's do this right. So I really like that. I really appreciate that they're not afraid to call themselves out.
Yeah, they have beautiful armies.
Oh,
very nice looking table.
Yes.
And I found them to be pretty involved battle reports.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty drawn in as to what was happening. So,
and their commentary is very, very good as to not just, well, I rolled a bunch of one, or I rolled a bunch of. It's more along the lines of, here's what my goal is with this move and with this charge. Here's what I'm trying to get done. So, yeah. I like them.
Definitely. The next on the list is Creaky Gamers.
Yeah.
These guys are Scottish, I believe, weren't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. They also do a fairly involved show. I'm trying to... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. These guys had all the crazy overlays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So they will do two different shots of the table, like a top down, like the GW.
Yeah.
And then another one. I mean, they have like cameras set up kind of behind them at an angle to give an angled shot of the table. And then they also have terrain with GoPros on top of it, so that you can get like action shots down there on the table. And then they'll always have the score and all of that up on the table or up on the screen. Mm-hmm. And then they'll do like a green screen type thing with the dice rolls.
Yes.
So that you'll see all the dice rolls very clearly. I did notice, though, one of the guys was using small dice. The little GW ones. They were kind of hard to read, but the big dice, very easy to read. Yep. Granted, I was watching them on my phone, so that didn't help. Yeah. And also, what was the other thing that they did that I really liked?
What I really appreciated is that split screen that they have with the full table view, and then the other camera will either cover the action, or like you said, they'll have the terrain cam, where, I mean, it's just, they have a really good sense of what's going to draw people in. So, it's super good production quality.
Yeah, I definitely like that. And they'll have like little memes and stuff pop up too, which is kind of funny.
They'll poke fun at each other. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun when two friends are playing a game and you feel like you're, on the next table over, just having a grand time too. So, yep.
Yeah, I think my hat goes off to their presentation.
Yeah.
The most. They had great looking armies too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, very good. Creaky Gamers is very, very good. Lancaster Wargaming. Now, disclaimer, we know some of the guys in the Lancaster Wargaming group. So, Chuck Moore and some of those other guys. Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. You know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these guys have been putting out some bat reps, and they don't have overlays, but they do try to talk about, where they're at and what's going on. So they try to keep a good, narrative going. The only thing that I would comment on them is the camera's a little shaky. It's probably on a wrist-mounted GoPro or something like that, or some sort of mount that moves quite a bit. But if you like the kind of games that they try to keep the bat reps to about 2 hours, but I think that's more along the way of the way they play the game, because these are experienced guys. These are guys that know what they're doing, and the games aren't going to drag on.
Right.
So you're going to see every move, every die roll. If you like that kind of stuff, if you're into that, you're definitely going to see all the good stuff. And, you'll also hear somebody get called out when they don't leave the dice on the table long enough to be red.
Nice.
There's one comment on one video, so don't think they do that a lot, but it was pretty comical. Hey, mate, I didn't see this.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, listen to me. No, these guys are in Pennsylvania to be like, hey, dude.
Hey, bro.
Let's go have a cheesesteak and roll some dice. So, yeah, the Lancaster guys put on a pretty good. I like their presentation. So
now this is one that has a bit of a shaky cam issue. It's kind of like watching Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yep.
So I don't know. A gimbal would probably go a long ways.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
One.
But again, they are trying to cover all the action. So
yeah, Now this next one I did not watch.
Oh.
So you lay it on me.
Okay, so this is Southeast Wargaming. This is Southeast London, or Southeast Britain. So they have a ton of bat reps out there on their channel. And again, a little bit of a shaky cam. So, and one of the things that bothered me to no end, they have very, very low audio. So you have to really turn it up in order to hear them. And naturally, of course, when your computer goes ding or your device goes, you've got mail, it blasts.
Or you get
out.
a Raid Shadow Legends ad halfway through. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it blasts your ears apart. So I just wish they would turn up the audio a little bit. But they do have an overlay for the victory points and, what's going on. So, and they're real free with the on-screen captions to cover if they feel like when they're editing it, their narrative didn't cover exactly what they wanted. They'll put up a caption on there and say what was going on at that moment. So they're they're good. It's just, a little bit of a shaky cam. So if that bothers you, you might want to check some out before you commit to it. But they're good guys. A lot of fun. They always seem to enjoy it. And yeah, nice, good games, fun. Usually some of the videos are pretty long. Some of them are pretty short too. So you get a pretty good different mix.
All right. And then the next one, the Belligerent Duck.
You just got to love them for the name.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but this is the last one on your list that I watched.
Okay.
And yeah, you have here quality, and I believe that is pretty accurate. These guys, definitely. I believe the one I watched with them was, these guys are out of Czechoslovakia.
Czech Republic. Yeah.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic. I don't know why I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. No, I was totally lost on that one. So anyways, yeah.
I've gone there. I've been there.
Well, you're old, Bill. We'll get to
true.
that. And, most of your brain is deteriorated from the sugar anyways.
Huh?
But anyways, yeah, these guys are based out of Eastern Europe.
Yep.
And so they have a thick accent.
Mm-hmm.
But they had some gorgeous armies.
Oh, my God.
I watched one that was Ogres versus Legion of Night. Blood. Night, I want to say. I don't know. It had Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon and the Czech Vampire, but she wasn't the general. So that would have to have been Blood.
Yeah, Legion of Blood.
Okay.
Yep.
What is her? Neferata.
Neferata.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were looking for the name.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, they were very nice looking armies.
Beautiful armies. And top notch, beautiful armies.
Yeah.
So,
and this one had like a really interesting thing with the camera where he would move it really quick, like you see in movies where they zoom, side scroll, but it's not. But it would like instantly focus.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how he was doing that.
Super high quality camera or something, or they plan those shots. They might just actually plan it.
I don't know. He was doing like when they were doing their army discussions. He would just zip from unit to unit, and I don't know. It was really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, the bat reps go for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah. Again, it's because these guys know their game, and they're on it. They're showing you every roll and every move, so you're not going to miss anything on one of their bat reps. Very few hard jump cuts. I mean, they will do a jump cut if, obviously they have to, but they're very, very smooth. I would have to imagine one of the guys is probably works in video because it just has that polished look to it.
So, yeah.
It doesn't look like just a home edit kind of thing. It's like, this is pro.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. Why don't you take us through these last two on here, and then I've got one that I watched that you didn't.
Okay, so quickly, the last two. The first one is the Dark Artisan. These are bat reps. They have good camera work. They don't have any overlays. They vary in length from like 30 minutes to 2.5 hours, but it sounds like it was filmed in a game hall. These are, I believe, European or England guys, and it sounds like it's when they get together on the weekend at the club or, at the store, and they film at the same time. So there's a lot of background noise, and it tends to sometimes intrudes, because it's really hard to filter that kind of noise out and still have the regular voice be up there.
So it's kind of like the old
GW, yeah.
Oh, God.
It's hard sometimes. But, again, they do really nice camera work. They don't have overlays, but they talk about where they're at in the game. And they have a nice running commentary about the game. So there's a lot of things to recommend it. But if that background noise is something that bothers you, you probably won't want to watch. But they're very good games, I thought. Then the last one that I saw that you didn't was Razor Tree Productions. They've been playing around with different kinds of overlays. Sometimes they have victory points. Sometimes they have like the turn layout and stuff like that. Very personal style. Very kind of almost like they're talking to you rather than just filming a bat rep. More like they're talking you through what they're doing. So it's a different kind of style. And if you like that kind of thing where you feel like it's a narrator telling you the story of the game, it's fun videos to watch. Good ones. So, and that was where I called it. I was pretty much done at that point. So, you said you had one that
so I have one additional
didn't know
one.
about?
This is Measured Gaming.
Oh, I know those guys.
Yeah, I sent you a link.
Yes.
When you asked.
They're also the ones that make those cool objective markers that you can tie with the app into your phone, and it'll show you, like, digitally where, like if you set up where the objectives are. Yeah. You can just take put your camera up there, and it'll show you how many models are in range, and then you can use it as a ruler.
The Rightful Ruler app.
Isn't that the same guys?
I think, I don't know.
I thought it was Measured Gaming. I thought that was
Maybe.
I might be mixing two metaphors. I don't know. Anyway, go on.
Sure. Yeah, it has to be, actually, because I think these guys were Australian.
Oh, well, wiry. That doesn't exist anyway. So.
That's true. That is true. So Measured Gaming is just a computer program put forth by the government to cover the tracks of NASA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways.
And swamp gas. Bouncing off Venus.
So in this one, they do all the action off camera, like all the dice rolling, all the movement, everything. And they cut back and they just kind of tell you real quick what happened, which can be it's hard to be immersed in it sometimes. It's more of, it almost feels like people just telling you about a game they played.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the battle reports, they'll just call them early, So it's like they're competitive games, and it's like, oh, well, turn 3, we can already. I mean, yeah, we could play 5 rounds.
We know,
but we know how it's going to end, so we'll just go ahead and call it here and just kind of walk through. Since that's how they do their presentation, anyways, of like, this is what happened. It's just as easy for them to be like, well, this is likely what will happen. So we'll just kind of walk through the last bit of the game. These guys will move here, kill this, blah, 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 take the objective. And, so.
Hard hitting chunks.
Yeah. It makes for a shorter show than a lot of these others. I think they're all like 30 minutes, 20 to 35 minutes. So it can be easier to get through them.
Yeah.
I just find it a little less engaging and immersive as some of the others. So, but yeah.
It's funny because a bat rep like that is one that you watch to learn how to do things with an army.
Yeah.
And you just want the hard-hitting parts, whereas, you would not want to have that one on while you're painting.
Right.
You actually want to watch that one. Yeah. So, I think there's a couple of different styles there is this something you have on in the background and just look up occasionally? Or is it something you need to watch because every moment is something that matters?
Yeah. And there you go. That's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bat rep channels.
Yeah.
I did not think there would be that many doing AOS battle reports.
No, I honestly, when I started searching, I knew some of the first 5 or 6 on this list. I knew those guys because I've been subscribed to them for a long time.
Right.
But as you start, just searching for AOS bat reps and you see these, I was really glad to find something like Creaky Gamers. I find those very, very fun to watch. And, I'm so glad that I was able to find those. And then, all these other ones, Belligerent Duck.
Yeah, right.
You can't beat that.
It's weird because I think, some of these got like 50, 80,000 subscribers. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was Creaky Gamers had like less than 1,000.
Yeah.
And yet their production value is
so much higher.
So much higher than everyone else's. So, yeah, it was interesting to see how some of that is.
So now let's dovetail something and so that someone that wants to start their bat rep channel can learn from us two professionals.
Yeah.
Let us dissect and mentally brainstorm the perfect AOS bat rep.
Okay.
So
it would be Stormcast versus Stormcast.
all the time.
All the time.
Different chamber versus different chamber.
Yeah.
And they'd all be painted to be
gold.
Well, yeah, the blue and gold. Who are those? The
Hammers of Sigmar.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
The poster boys. Both sides would be that. It'd be like a arena match all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. And stop. I would say that, and this is personal, this has nothing to do with anybody else. Your mileage may vary. I want to see something on the order of what the Creaky Gamers do, where you have an overlay that shows the turn, where the victory points are, if command points are swingy, where those are. And I like that long view of the table as well as the up-close action shot. So it would definitely, I think those are all things that it needs to have.
Well, one thing that I forgot to mention about their channel too, that is really, really cool, is that their top-down shot, they will overlay the mission and where. So the one I watched was the relocation orb.
Oh boy!
And it actually put the mission schematic over the table so that you would see on the table where the objective could move to.
Right.
And everything, which I thought was really well done.
That's super.
So,
Yeah.
those guys, man, their camera work is on point.
Yep.
Their editing is really sharp.
Yes. Very, very good. In fact, I mean, honestly, I would say that if you want to make a bat rap that would appeal to me as a person who likes to see, I like to listen to a whole battle, and I like to listen to the people talking about the game and what they're doing and why. I would say go over and watch the Creaky Gamers.
Yeah.
They're about, I have to say, the cream of the crop.
Yeah, I really enjoyed their stuff.
So
I think there's bits you could definitely pick up from some of the other ones. I think nobody really wants to see you physically move your models. That can definitely be skipped. But the dice rolling can definitely be interesting to watch, especially when you explain what you're doing. And then one thing that I noticed none of these channels did, or they didn't do, in my opinion, very well, was an army breakdown.
Yeah.
Before the game started. Some of them would lay out their army and go through, this is 5 of these, 10 of these, 40 of these, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then this guy has this command ability and this artifact. Oh, I think he has this artifact. When we get to him, I'll tell you what he does.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's like, well, if you're going to jump through all these hoops already, then go ahead and just type up what they have in, I don't know, one of the myriad of software programs that lets you put all this stuff together and just put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
I think that would do really well. And Games Workshop does that, don't they? Like when you're watching it on the Twitch stream, you can type in something that brings up the list.
Yeah, that brings up the army list. Yeah. Well, it's usually a function of Notley. If he puts up the list, they're there.
Okay.
Because he takes the list and then he puts them up, and you can type something in there. I forgot what it is, but you can
I think
bring
it's
up
like
the
list or something like that.
As long as he has it and he has the time to put it all together. So,
but yeah, I think that's a step that either some of these channels missed altogether or didn't really deliver.
Yeah, jump into
real well on, and that's definitely something that, like, again, Tabletop Tactics does pretty well. Is they break down what the army is, what it does, what everybody has, and I guess it's in their defense, that's 40K, and 40K is a little more involved of what individual models are equipped with and stuff like that. So
one thing I will say, and that I miss in most of the channels that do bat reps, if you go back and watch Wargamer Girl Miranda, when she was doing now these were War Machine and Hordes bat reps, she would have, before the game started, she would stand around with the person she was playing, and they would talk about the scenario and what they were bringing and pretty much why, what their thought was going into the game. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of every turn, they would get in front of the same place again, and they would talk about what happened that turn, what they thought went right, what went wrong, what they screwed up. And then we're not talking an hour digression. We're talking about, a couple of minutes of, I kind of moved this way, and I thought I was going to be unopposed, but you were there, and you pretty much slapped me down, so now I'm really hurting on that flank, that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the game, when it's all over, they get in front of that screen again, and they talk about what happened, what they thought was going to happen, versus what actually happened, and what they would change to either win or not lose in the future, in that game, in that setup again. And that, I thought, was one of the things that set her videos apart.
Yeah, that's something else that I didn't see really in any of these videos.
Really good analysis of the game. And again, that's, that was something I think that really sold her bat reps as some of the best War Machine Hordes bat reps out there, was that she actually, went through the game step by step and pulled it apart and said, this is what happened, and this is what I thought was going to happen and what actually happened. So very good quality there. And that's something I think should go into a good bat rep, is an analysis from the players. You could be dead wrong. I mean, this is the game you played. Your very premise might have been oops, but at least to follow it through your thought process the whole way would make me a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
So something to think about if you're going to do bat reps.
Sure.
So, yeah, if you're going to do an AOS bat rep channel, get a hold of us, and we'll tell you exactly what we want to see. And then we'll, expect cut of the profits. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much we just did all the heavy lifting.
we did all the work for you.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is buy the cameras, set up the tables, buy the armies, paint the terrain.
Proper lighting.
Yeah, get all the lighting. Get several hours, weekends to play one game. And, you guys got the easy job.
Video editing software.
Yeah, no biggie. Then we'll just split it 50-50 because we're the idea man.
And we're generous like
right.
that. 50-50 is pretty generous.
I think so because it could have been 70-30.
Could have been.
We're not
very easily. But
we're not Shark Tank.
we understand it's difficult times.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
yeah. We want to see you grow too because the more you grow, the more we grow. Wow. I think those guys just went full Republican.
God. Yep.
All right. As we depart the bat rep, we start the temporal distortion.
Bum, bum, bum.
So what we have is
Oh, this is so good.
this is the April 1000 episode issue. I always say episode. Why? Issue of White Dwarf. And this is War on a New Scale as they introduce War Master.
War Master.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this issue is pretty much comprised of another Mordheim Town Crier. For Warhammer 40K, there's an article on Imperial Guard Sentinels. Then there's a short story from Gav Thorpe about Catachan jungle fighters called Siren Song.
Or Catachan.
Catachan, Catachan, whatever. There's an article on Sly Marbo.
Yeah.
And then it's all about... There's a couple of Warhammer articles, the fantasy game that became Ninth Age. I'm sorry. Vengeance of the Vampire. Yeah. But then all the rest of this magazine is all given over to like 2 different War Master bat reps. And I mean, just a crazy amount of content as they did in those days. This was their catalog. This was how they got information out to the people.
This is before the internet.
Yeah. So
Now, is it still just vampires versus high elves, or do they have any of the other War Master armies in there?
I don't know. What is it? Rick Priestley introduces his game. They have Undead Legions.
Oh, yeah. So undead.
And then there's an article about how to base reaching first base. Oh, boy.
Zing.
A look at how to base your War Master armies. And then Heroes of Ulthuan, High Elf Warhosts. So, yeah. And then the War Master Workshop, which is the U.S. studio. This is when they were still split into the European UK studio and the U.S. studio. So this is even when White Dwarfs were, when you bought it, you either got the U.S. or the UK version. And they sometimes had different covers, which really made my collection annoying.
Sure.
Now I have to check for which cover is which.
Oh, Bill.
Hey, it's the hell of being a completionist. But they have nice things about building a full table, all that stuff. Good terrain articles in here. Interesting little advert for some Black Library presents new Cal Jericho, the graphic novel.
Yep.
It was new that month, but also was Demonifuge was out there as a graphic novel.
Jeez.
So what they just talked about in preview number 3 is sitting out here brand new 20 years ago. It hurts. So that was 20 years ago. 10 years ago was a game-changing issue of White Dwarf. Truly, because it was White Dwarf 363, which was Blood Angels, pal. All the new Blood Angels kits came out. The Ball Predator, the Sanguinary Guard, the, you name it, Lamarty's came out. What's his name? The Flesh Terrors.
It's Gabriel Seth,
yeah. All the Blood Angel goodness is in this issue, and there's painting articles for how to do Blood Angels. You name it. this issue, if you were really into something that wasn't 40K Blood Angels, you might have felt like you got ripped off.
Yeah.
Because even the workshop article is about the Honored Imperium statue that came out the same time as the Blood Angel kits. So technically, it's kind of terrain for 40K Blood Angels, although not specifically. But yeah, that's what was happened 10 years ago today.
Nice.
Blood Angels. Can't beat that. There's no beating it.
Man, War Master, that is something else.
Isn't it?
20 years ago.
I think I would have enjoyed War Master at the time, but not.
The rules were something else. You had to make leadership checks in order to even move units around, and it was something else. I never played War Master. I played Epic.
Yeah.
But, I heard stories about War Master. I still hope that that is what the old world will be, is a War Master scale version
something like that,
and not 28 mil heroic. But we'll see. That's a long ways down.
It's it's an interesting call because why not? You don't want to have the two bleed into each other. I mean, it's obviously 30K and 40K bleed into each other. Mm-hmm. There is some crossing of the models and what have you, but
you can have that though.
Yeah. I think if they had their druthers, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. Maybe 30K would have been, true scale or something a little different along the way. Mm-hmm. But, if this thing coming out for the old world is going to not, I would hate to see it come out and be all the old models and then just open up that fissure again, open up that division between AOS and the old world.
Well, yeah, and you saw it immediately, too, on the Facebook post where they talked about it, and all those essentially ninth age players came out of nowhere and were like, oh, you better keep all that high fantasy stuff out of my old world and keep it simple, where my walking skeletons, which are physical manifestations of necromantic magic, are hitting people with a rusty sword, or my cold-blooded lizard man that was generated by powers that no longer exist, put here solely to fight back physical manifestations of emotions, or hitting people with a wooden club.
Yeah.
It's low fantasy.
That's low fantasy.
Jesus.
Because honestly, a vampire riding a dragon, what's lower fantasy than
Yeah.
that? I mean, honestly, okay, sure, you'd have like maybe Token, Narnia, all those other things. But, notwithstanding.
I mean, it's pretty low fantasy to have an entire castle on the backs of bears being moved around a country.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so... I mean, that's right out of the pages of medieval history. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, pure low fantasy.
In fact, I think that took place in the 100-Year War. That's probably where they got the inspiration from.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They stole a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
Straight from the history books, yeah.
Bless. Low fantasy.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. So I think that would be about it for episode 88, 89. So the dual episode.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, and I apologize for having to do that, but we actually ate ourselves into oblivion.
Yeah, it was Bill's birthday, so back off.
Yeah, come on. Lighten up.
Guy's getting old. He doesn't know how many more of these he has left in the chamber.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. I'm not going to go there. Oh, my. Oh,
and you guys don't see behind the scenes where I have to glue this guy back together sometimes. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so hopefully we will be coming at you again in 2 weeks. This one should drop this week, I hope, because it's going to be a short edit.
Yeah.
We'll get to it and get ourselves back on a little bit back on schedule, and
maybe we'll have a Blackstone Fortress recap.
Hopefully, yeah.
Some more hobby.
Yep, definitely.
Potentially more reveals from GW.
When did they say it was? May?
Early May.
Early May, okay.
So I would imagine in the next 2 weeks we'll get a little bit more.
Get another tease.
Yeah, I have no idea what else they could tease us with at this point. Do you even want to be teased with anything more? Do you want to continue to see stuff that you have no idea when you'll be able to get?
Well, what I'm afraid that they'll do is something like tease the next edition of 40K.
Okay.
have it actually, there's a reality in the world right now that is hard to take, but there's a lot of people who just don't have income for hobbies right now.
Yeah.
I would hate to see something as big as an edition change for the flagship of the company get underwhelmed or really overwhelmed by the situation going on in the world. So, I mean, I hope they wait. Push it a year. What the hell? We can continue to play with the rules we have now. There's nothing so broken with the game that we can't play. Back when tournaments were a thing, we were having 800-man tournaments, 1,000-man tournaments. 256-man tournaments were the order of the day. That was just a thing you went to now and then.
I see your point. However, I feel like both games, AOS and 40K, are at a point now where at their core, the game would not change that much.
Right.
A new edition would just clean things up a bit.
Yeah, and
putting out a new edition, I don't think would fundamentally rock the boat so much. And it might actually give people something to talk about to take their mind off of being stuck in their house or
That's
whatever.
true. And there's always that approach. And if the 40K edition is really one that just brings all of the far-flung rules that are out there, and I'm not talking about, bringing all the Psychic Awakening books into one, but, all of the outlying facts and the clarifications.
Just clean the game up.
And, the stuff from White Dwarf, bring all that stuff together, write some new terrain rules that, I don't know, aren't an afterthought. Have real terrain rules in it.
Like AOS.
Yeah, you'll have a winner.
I think it would be perfect for guys like us because we're kind of on the cusp of getting into 40K again. Right. So a new edition would be
perfect.
It would work. It would work well for us.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to change something like, now it's an edition of, it's a chit draw system, and I don't think they're going to mess with the very basic
dice
of the game.
Put all dice in a bag, like all
bolt action.
Yeah, that's how we're going to play 40K now.
If it wouldn't require changing absolutely every data slate or war scroll out there, there's a lot to be said for those kind of systems. I really enjoy bolt action. That was a lot of fun.
Bolt action is pretty good.
And
that's my idea scale too for World War II.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Perfect.
Actually, I don't take it with a grain of salt or whatever, but I did hear that with the new edition of 40K, one of the things they're thinking about implementing is the double turn mechanic.
Why? Why do you do this to our poor listeners?
Somewhere out there, somebody just had a minor stroke.
And somewhere else, someone's not writing to us, but they're writing to Reese over at Frontline Gaming.
Yeah, right.
If they do that, I'm leaving.
Yeah, it won't be somebody burning a Dark Elf army in their backyard. It'll be Ultramarines this time.
Oh, my God.
Good
wow.
times, good times.
On that bombshell, we should probably end.
Low-hanging fruit.
Double turns in 40K.
Double turns. You heard it here. It's coming.
If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. Our Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, again, all one word. The Twitter account for the show is at rolling_bad. And our individual Twitters are, for me, at Bill Castello, BILLCASTELLO. And for Elric, it's at Elric Edge, ELRICEDGE. All of our guests on the show will have their contact information in that show's show notes. The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad podcast is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Where's Prague?
God. Are they out of Prague?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I think they are. Because the guy said that he just finished a tournament in Prague.
Oh, okay.
Poland, yeah.
No.
Good Lord, where am I?
Don't know. And why am I not? Come on.
Not
Romania.
Russia. Romania?
Prague? No, Prague is. Jesus. I have to edit this shit out.
No, leave it in because it'll show everybody how terrible Americans are at Eastern European countries.
Europe's about the size of Rhode Island anyway. Who cares?
Right.
They have like a country every freaking 40
They're all
miles.
it's all Russia light anyways.
It's all Russia light.
Oh, my.
Over here dying. Good Lord, last little bit of diet A&W
Oh, my.
rising to the top. The cream rises to the top.